Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to map out a really fascinating, highly visual master theory on how to use AI for genuine cognitive expansion, rather than just, superficial productivity. We're exploring a completely new model of human-AI collaboration, one that completely shifts our understanding of what it actually means to learn and grow alongside intelligent machines.
All right, let's dive right into this massive paradox sitting at the absolute center of our daily tools. We all know AI is incredible at giving us a head start, right? But here is the tension. Just because you start a project from a higher AI-generated baseline doesn't magically mean you suddenly possess the knowledge to recreate it. Starting higher is absolutely not the same thing as knowing more.
Think about the difference between simply possessing a borrowed document and actually owning the capability behind it. When AI generates, say, a flawless business plan, a really complex piece of code, or a dense research framework, it is technically just borrowed capital. It's a loan. You possess the output, sure, but you don't yet own the capability that built it.
So how do we get to that true capability? Well, it starts at the very first stage of this growth loop. AI completely wipes out the friction of the blank page. Instead of sitting there staring at a blinking cursor for an hour, we're instantly handed a detailed cognitive scaffold. We get the framework, the language, the models right out of the gate. It elevates our starting line instantly.
Here's the catch, though. The AI scaffold is absolutely a gift. It saves you hours of grueling foundational labor, but it's also a profound challenge. It basically challenges you to figure out your place within a logic you didn't even create. It's kind of like being dropped off at the summit of a mountain in a helicopter. I mean, the view is great, but you haven't actually learned how to climb.
Which brings us to a super powerful question you literally have to ask yourself if you want to stop AI from doing all your thinking for you. You need to ask, where am I inside this structure? When you're handed a perfectly polished piece of AI output, you have to actively search for the boundary between the machine's logic and your own mind.
That boundary right there, that's what you call the edge of capacity. It's the exact line between what you genuinely understand, control, and can revise versus what you just admire, copy, and completely depend on the AI to maintain. And listen, finding this edge isn't a sign of failure at all. It is your honest learning point. It's where your real, tangible growth actually begins.
To actually pinpoint that exact edge, we need to flip the AI from being just an answer machine into a diagnostic mirror. We do this with a quick metacognitive audit using 4 key questions. First, what can I explain in my own words without looking? Second, what can I meaningfully revise without being terrified of breaking the logic? Third, what can I continue if the AI suddenly turned off? And fourth, where does overflow begin?
Now, let's talk about that hazardous state we call overflow. Picture your current cognitive capacity as a cup and the AI output as water. If the machine pours way too much complex structure, too much water, beyond what your current cup can hold, you experience overflow. More input does not automatically mean more growth.
If the AI pours too much, that overflow leads straight to false fluency. It's this dangerous illusion of mastery, where you have a beautiful output, but you actually suffer from logic blindness and total dependency. So we have to avoid false fluency and instead seek the sweet spot of resonance. The golden rule here is to ask yourself, is this output actually practicable at my edge?
Resonance hits when the AI perfectly articulates something that was already kind of intuitively forming inside you. It feels beyond you, but not alien to you. You look at the output and think, wow, I could not have made this alone, but I recognize something true in it. That spark of recognition creates an existential attachment. It makes you care enough to actually stay with the material.
Once you hit that resonant edge, you can't just sit back and admire the beautiful output. You've got to engage in deliberate practice. This is the conversion engine right here. Practice is what converts the AI-collaborated structure into a true human-owned capability. At this stage, you're treating the AI not as a shortcut, but as a rich pattern practice environment.
And by practice, I mean active effort, repeated contact. That's the only way to convert external structure into internal skill. This means actually rewriting and simplifying the AI's text yourself. It means explaining the concept out loud without looking at your screen. It means taking the logic, applying it to totally new examples, or trying to finish the last 20% of the project completely offline.
When you nail this active practice, you move miles beyond just possessing an impressive output. You hit true foundational ownership. And ownership means authentic controllability. You understand the how and why behind every single connection, and you have the critical judgment to evaluate, break, or rebuild that logic with your own mind whenever you want.
And this brings us to my absolute favorite mantra: meaning makes it mine. You see, existential attachment and authentic understanding are what ultimately anchor these new capabilities into our brains. You have to care about the logic you're building. The human must supply the direction, the judgment, and the meaning to make it real.
So when we zoom out, all these stages lock perfectly together into a continuous, cyclical loop of human growth. We jump from the higher starting line, identify our edge of capacity, put in that deliberate practice, achieve genuine ownership, and finally reach expanded capacity. It's not just a productivity hack. This is a complete metacognitive growth model for the modern era.
And what's the final result? When practice creates that deep ownership, your internal cup literally grows larger. What used to be the AI's external structure is now completely your internal capability. That expanded capacity means the next time you sit down to work, you are starting from a fundamentally higher, entirely independent baseline.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a profound shift in how we collaborate with these machines. The true value of AI isn't just cranking out content faster. It's about self-discovery. Do not use AI only to produce beyond yourself. Use AI to discover the edge of yourself.
AI might raise where we begin, sure, but metacognition shows where we truly own. Practice at that edge is the magic key that turns an AI-collaborated structure into your own human-expanded capacity. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. So here's a question to leave you with. The next time you open up an AI tool, are you just borrowing a beautiful output, or are you actually brave enough to find your edge and grow?